Hello and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading, but for those of you who are new to the circle, hello and welcome. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I post new videos every single day. If you're looking for daily short tarot readings, check out my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube shorts. If you're looking for personal services or personal readings, I offer them through my website, innercircleguidance.com. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have Firefly, Wonder, angel number 44. We have the Cowrie Shell, Abundance, angel number 25. We have Flamingo, Fun, angel number 2. We have the Labyrinth, Journey, angel number 15. We have Medical Staff, Healing, angel number 13. And we have Succulence, Resilience, angel number 38. Okay. Firefly and Wonder is sitting in the past position in this particular spread. Firefly and Wonder has to do with having that childlike wonder that you do when you're little. And you may have been a lot more creative. You may have been a lot more free-spirited as a child. You may have found beautiful or interesting things in the little things. So much like when you go outside and you see a firefly lighting up the darkness, it's such a little thing, it's such a little insect, but it can create a lot of joy or a lot of interest or a lot of curiosity. I'm seeing that some of you have childhood wounds from your past that need healing. Some of you have certain parts of your childlike wonder or certain parts of your inner child that you sort of have lost touch with, and that has caused you some heartbreak, some issues in your life for various reasons. For some of you, this is part of where your overgiving and lack of confidence comes from. For others of you, it's why you're having struggles with your creativity or with your income and finance stability or with your career. And for others, this has more to do with a general outlook on life. You've lost sort of that playful side of you. You've lost that curious side. You've fallen too far into your logic and your logical energy and your masculine energy of things always having to make logical sense or rationalizing every little thing or doing everything as a means to an end. And I'm seeing that part of you with this new journey that you're going on is longing for some of that energy. And if you've been feeling as though you've really been missing somebody lately, but you have no idea who that person is, or you feel like you miss certain aspects of your childhood, or like you missed out even on certain aspects of your childhood, I'm seeing that it's because you have these inner wounds that you need to be healing. And I am seeing that's going to be coming, but I'll get to that card here in a minute. So it's working in your favor here, and this is awesome energy. And it's funny because I actually saw this card when I was shuffling in the very beginning, and I said to myself, if it's meant to come out, it'll come out again. And it did. So the Cowrie Shell, Abundance, is sitting in the position of what's working in your favor. And the Cowrie Shell has this sort of interesting sort of energy to it because it's a shell that's very unique. It's a shell that sort of folds in on itself and has a lot of dynamic to it. And what's interesting here is that you are tapping into a higher tier of abundance and manifestation at this time. And it's ironic because I'm seeing that for a lot of you, this abundance is being tapped into through the resilience that you've had to experience through healing, through difficult times, through taking the longer route or taking the harder path, or going through a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. I hope you guys can still see because it looks like a storm's coming in and it's suddenly really dark in here. But anyway, oh, there's the rain. which to me says there's a lot of renewal happening. So rain has a lot to do with renewal in general, but it also has to do with sort of a cleansing, washing away of things so that new things can be born, new things can flourish and bloom. And I'm very much seeing that you've been planting new seeds. There may be new projects or new ideas you have that you want to move forward on. There may be new sort of aspects to what you consider to be abundant. And for a lot of you, I'm seeing that originally you just wanted things to be stable. You wanted things to be like, as long as you had financial stability, or as long as you had a certain tier of happiness or a certain tier of something, then you were content. But now I'm seeing that you're looking at things more of an overflow sort of energy. And I keep seeing eights, which is also the infinity symbol, which also has to do with abundance. But I'm seeing that you've kind of leveled up in terms of what you consider to be your abundance and happiness, and like the minimum that you're willing to, I guess, sort of subscribe to has heightened. And you're starting to realize that you have the ability to just choose and decide what that minimum is, and choose and decide what the maximum is. And you're starting to realize that an overflow is not only possible, but it's a timeline and a decision that you can choose and decide. And that's changing the way that this new path is sort of configuring. And what I'm seeing is working against you. And this is funny because this is sort of a weird double-edged sword. Some of you need to focus on balance. For a long time, and this kind of gets into the abundance section. For a long time, some of you felt like you had to do A, B, and C in order to be worthy of your goals. Or you had to sacrifice or give up certain things, or you had to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's almost like you had this idea that in order to be successful and abundant, you somehow had to struggle, and things had to be hard, and everything had to be a challenge, and you sort of had to just like push this boulder up a hill, so to speak. And I'm seeing here that you're starting to realize that part of abundance is balance. And there is a way to have things like not always be perfect per se, but still be in an abundant mindset, because there are all these duality energies at play. There is darkness that can be very comforting at times, but then there's darkness that can feel really isolating and sad. And then there's darkness that sort of feels like an old friend. There's all these different facets of different energy. You know, you can love someone obsessively, or you can love someone and completely disconnect from them. You can love someone and hate them at the same time. And you're starting to realize that it's not always an either or sort of energy. Some of these things are either or, and, or even all of the above, or something else entirely. And what I'm seeing is that you're starting to learn the balance between the duality energies. And that part of abundance is going through endings so that you can make room for new things. Part of abundance is going through change that sometimes is uncomfortable or maybe even unwelcomed. Abundance isn't a constant state of just happiness. In terms of part of the balance between abundance is these different seasons of things. New things blooming and blossoming, and then dying, wilting, and leaving and ending, and then new things being born, better things. And so it's more of being at peace and harmony with those different energies and using them symbiotically, instead of feeling like everything has to be either or all the time. Like oftentimes, a good example, and this is one that's more of a literal message here with the fun on the flamingo here, is we often think that in order to be successful, we have to work really hard. Well, there's no point in working really hard if you're trying to work really hard in order to have fun, because by the time you get to a place where you can just have fun, there's always going to be this like regret because you didn't have fun on the way. It wasn't an enjoyable process. There's a balance between working hard or working in general and relaxing and having fun. Just like there's a balance between the masculine energy of being logical and rational and practical and the feminine energy of being creative and nurturing and emotional. There's all these balances that go into play with the abundance, and it's a natural flow, just like the infinity sign is like, an 8. It goes, almost like a wave. And it's interesting because the Kori shell is like that too. It kind of has this like flow about it. You're starting to understand and realize that part of manifestation isn't this constant state of positivity that's false. It's not this constant state of only everything's great all the time, or this constant state of just happiness. There's sort of these bitter moments and these sad moments and these other moments that sort of ebb and flow that make up this very intricate part of abundance, of overflow. And that doesn't mean that you have to struggle, or things have to be bad, or things have to, be hard, or that you're unworthy, or you have to figure out how to be worthy. You're inherently worthy. It's more of that you're realizing that some of these things ebb and flow, and they go in this sort of cycle, and it's natural part of the cycle. And if you go with the cycle instead of fighting the cycle, and you understand the cycle instead of being confused and angry with the cycle, it's a very different sort of feeling going through the cycle. And you start to realize that part of that elevation of positivity and elevation of abundance and overflow is the way that you view these different situations. So for example, let's say you lose your job. The way that you view losing your job, you can view it 2 main ways, good or bad, right? Or I guess you could be indifferent. So maybe 3. Maybe there's 3 ways that you can view this as a whole. Being completely indifferent to it, thinking it's gonna be the end of the world, or thinking it's the best thing that ever happened to you. And your choice between the 3 things is sort of what decides your existence and the feeling and presence of that energy. So your perspective is very important, because your decision on how you choose each thing that may be in or out of your control plays a part in how your abundance plays out. It plays a part in how you elevate or don't. It plays a part in what season you end up being in. Is losing your job a season of everything? It's the end of the world. You're losing everything. You're losing your financial stability. You're losing your happiness. You're losing your car. You're losing your house. You're losing the amount of food you can eat, all these things. You're losing your freedom. Or is it, well, actually, I'm making room for a better job that pays more. Something better is coming. I'm making space and time and room for things that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I have a break to finally rest for a little bit. Do you see what I'm saying about the duality energies? There's certain things that obviously are going to come along that are out of your control, that are going to be sad or difficult or painful. But the way you choose to perceive and move forward and be intentional with the decisions as you move forward is what decides your outcome and your abundance. It's what decides what you choose to make from that. You can take the dead flowers from the past season and use them to fertilize the soil for the next thing, or you can toss them out and forget about them and let it be bare. Finding your balance, finding your sort of sea legs, so to speak, and finding the fun and the joy in the moments, even when things are hard and difficult, is part of the abundance process. It's not about whether or not you're worthy. You decide to be worthy. And the problem is a lot of people don't decide to be worthy until they feel like they have struggled or sacrificed enough for them to feel worthy. You can decide at any time. You are constantly given choices that allow you to choose which path you're going to align to, which sort of tracks the train is going to veer onto or veer off of. But you have to find that balance, and you have to find that sort of balance between all the duality energies. No energy is inherently bad or evil. The darker parts of us are also there to protect us sometimes. The darker parts of us also sometimes bring us attention to the things that the light needs to heal. So what I'm seeing here is, as you're going on this journey, you're going to start realizing there's no wrong turn. And that's the difference between a labyrinth and a maze. A labyrinth has no wrong turns, and a labyrinth has no dead ends. You will always find your way. It could take longer, you can do shortcuts, whatever, but you are starting to realize that as you are going along, the maze is not out of your control. What you're starting to realize is that you can decide whether or not something feels like a dead end. You can decide whether you should go back around the larger circle 3 times before you go to the next level. You get to decide. It's a choice. There's things that happen that feel out of our control, And because of that, we forget and we think that we don't have any control in the situation, and we do. You may not be able to decide every little thing about the labyrinth, but you can make the decisions of which direction you go with the things that you're given. And you can also choose to break the rules. You could choose to figure out a way to get on top of the labyrinth so that you can see everything in the distance. You could also choose to go through it by breaking through the walls. There's always a choice, even though things may happen that are out of your control. There's always a choice and a decision in those things that happen that allow you to decide what track and what timeline you want to align to. We sometimes forget how powerful we are, because if our abundance can't override our free will, that means the bad things that happen can't override our free will either. If one thing is true, that means the opposite of it must also be true, or must also exist, or must also be a possibility. Open up your mind. Start realizing the power that you have. And I'm seeing that that's what's going to be happening here in the near future anyway. But the more that you are looking for that enlightenment and asking for it, the more it will come to you. And I'm seeing that a lot of healing is going to be happening in your further future. You're going to be healing not only traumas and pain and things from this particular lifetime, but I'm seeing that there's things that you've actually carried through from other timelines, other planes, other lifetimes with you to this one that are getting in your way. And it's because you've relinquished the control. It's because you've decided that you don't have a choice. It's because you decided that you're unworthy, or you decided that you don't deserve this or that or whatever. You've decided to look at things a certain way. You've decided to align to certain things. And you took the harder path. You took the longer route. But I'm seeing that you're coming out of it a lot more resilient and a lot stronger. You're coming out of it learning lessons that are so valuable that your abundance is going to escalate to a point where it's unprecedented for you. You're going to be looking at things where it's like, how the hell did this even happen? But you've got to learn these lessons first, and you're still in the process of it. But I'm seeing that there's some really huge awakenings coming in the near future. So really take time for yourself. Make sure you're setting time for self-care. You're setting time for meditation or journaling, or however it is that you tap into your higher self and your inner wisdom. But doing so is going to bring you to a different state of understanding, not only about yourself and about the world and the duality energies all around you, but in the world you're creating for yourself and your abundance. So your affirmation for this reading is, I am open to seeing things differently, and I am open to changing my mindsets and deciding and choosing that which aligns to my happiness and abundance. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.